The link between the governments and the citizens is a challenge in almost all the transitional societies. So basically, since we have been established, or more precisely since 2003, a year after our establishment, we have initiated a mobile parliament meeting in order to meet this challenge, or let's say a shortcoming of not having regular communication and engagement between the decision makers or the political representatives and the citizens or the voters' constituency. So in 2003 we have launched the project Mobile Parliament Meetings, where in a period over 5 years of time we have managed to organize over 100 public forums which were participated by around 200 members of the parliament and 50 representatives of the local self-government, including 3,000 citizens and representatives of civil society organizations. These forums produced a very interesting, dynamic and vibrant way of communication and actually grassroots advocacy on the real needs of the local communities, which can have legislative resolution by active engagement of the members of the parliament on one side, and on the other side, what is also important in order to decrease the gap between the policy makers or the decision makers in the parliament and the civil society on the other side as one of the advocates for the citizens' interests. We have also established in 2004 the Office for Contact between the Parliament and the civil society organizations in the Republic of Macedonia. This office functioned for 5 years. It's now transformed into an advocacy center, but the baseline is that in the 5-year time of functioning, the office has managed to organize around 300 meetings which were demanded by around and participated by 200 citizens and civil society organizations, members of the parliament, head of the parliamentary departments and committees, parliamentary committees. Out of this, a total of 6 pieces of interventions were made into the laws as a basis of recommendations from these meetings. In order to achieve, let's say, a sort of good governance, every society has to have a check and balance system within, which means that the citizens are the ones which should demand and ask from the government to deliver the things that were promised at the very beginning, but at the same time to be consulted on certain issues which are of national interest. So the concept of accountability has to function in every society. In order to meet this challenge, and having in mind that the concept of accountability up until 2007 was only a piece of paper or a concept which was virtual in the Republic of Macedonia, MOST has launched the project MP's Performance Card. This project produced a very interesting overview of the qualitative and quantitative aspects of the work of the members of the parliament and was distributed to the constituency. The impact from the project was without any expectation. I mean, it outreached any expectation that we had. Basically, having set a new set of standards in the society and in the behavior of the members of the parliament. What is also worth mentioning is that this project is now fully institutionally and financially sustainable, because since 2009 the parliament overtook the intervention, asking from us to deliver a training for one of their administration people, and as well as to get all the software and know-how on how we did it. So the same criteria are now in place and the parliament does this on its own. What is also important is that the MP's Performance Card created a secondary impact that we didn't expect it, which is actually a systematic one. And that is that it improved the functioning of the administration in the parliament due to the huge amount of data which was gathered in order to fill out the criteria and to see how a certain member of the parliament functioned. There had to be cross-departmental cooperation within the parliament, which up to that time was not a common thing, and it was a completely new and, from their perspective, a very strange approach. I would say on that it's not very bright. The citizens' engagement has to be seconded by credible and professional and grassroots-based civil society. What happens in Macedonia is stigmatization of the civil society organizations and generalization of the shortcomings that certain civil society organizations have manifested in the past period. So basically, what is the problem is huge influence of the politics within the civil society, inclination by certain important civil society actors towards certain political blocs in the country, and on the other side, as the political parties function, if you're not with us, you're against us. That means that the ones which want to remain professional, impartial, and credible are actually in more or less extent stigmatized and not attacked. It will be a very strong word to say, but more of they are either ignored or from time to time subject to a certain provocation which will be raised in the society, and this also contributes towards lowering the credibility and damaging the image of a certain civil society organization. In that regard, and to that note, what is also important is that the civil society organizations need to find the strength from within the sector and to be immune to this sort of interventions by the political parties, but also this has damaged the image of the civil society as a whole, because if you compare the trust in the political parties vis-à-vis the trust in the civil society, it is almost the same. Moreover, it goes more for the political parties than to the civil society, which is a very, very bad concept to function in.